In this video today, I'm going to be installing some of these parking brake calipers. It's a Wilwood mechanical parking brake caliper number 120-12070-BK. BK just means black. They're available in red and silver also. I've got this little car here that had Wilwood disc brakes replaced the rear drum brakes some years ago. I didn't do that work, somebody else did. But it's got the Wilwood Dynalite calipers on the rear here. And it never got any parking brakes. Here's the cable. It was kind of cable tied up here out of the way. But when this car had drum brakes on it, why this cable came right in here and actuated them. And this is going to go on here somewhere. That's what I got to figure out. It can go anywhere from up here, kind of comes around there, and then it starts hitting this coil over. I suppose it could go, well, yeah, the only place it's going to be able to go is like between here and here. So I've got to figure out where I can bring this cable in. If I can reroute it and come in up here, why that might work, because it's got to pull down that way. And then I'll have to make a mount, some way to suspend this, hold this in place. It looks like I might be able to make this work. This cable comes out right up there. And so if I reroute it in front of the stub axle here, come under the anti-sway bar here, it looks like I can connect to my caliper right there. I think that might work. Let me rotate this back a little bit this way. Maybe about right there. I think that might be a more favorable angle. Kind of right there. Yeah, here's my cable. It looks like I could go back that far, but I gotta make sure I don't want to get too close to that. I think right about there, leave myself about a 1/2 inch between there is going to be about right. And looking in here, this part of the cable housing actually goes right here, and then the clevis end go right up here. So I think I can make that work. So I just need to get this firmly mounted in place now. I've got this little link attached to the lever arm and the mount, and I've tightened that up to where I've got a little bit of pressure holding the caliper onto the rotor. And now to get the spacing, this is snug, but it still moves. These are little 1/8 inch parallels I'm going to put right there and right there. And then I'll go ahead and tighten this up real good down here so that nothing's going to move. Okay, that should be good. And if I look in here, that is just about the right, correct placement of the pads onto the rotor. So that should be good. I've got the rotor and caliper rotated to where I think I need it. And so now, just looking at this plate here is the plate that the regular caliper attaches to. This is a straight edge. So if I just bring this up here, and if I'm flush with the back side of that, that gives me this amount of travel in both directions, so I'm kind of centered. So I think that might be a good place to have that. So I need this surface to be 1/8 of an inch behind this surface. So I'm going to try and make a plate that comes off of here and maybe put a spacer between it so that it sets back 1/8 of an inch. And then I'll have, it'll be such that it'll come up here. I can bolt this hole to it and the one on the other side. So first I'm going to try and make me a little cardboard template that will fit that. This is what I'm going to make my template out of. Just a little thin cardboard, construction board. And it's just going to be a matter of making measurements. I've got a fairly flat surface there, so I'm going to let that be my base. And from there up to here, about 2 3/4. And then coming back this way, about 1 1/4 inches. So it's just going to be a matter of cutting something out, see if it fits, and if it doesn't, then adjust it till it does. So that will be my first hole. I'm going to work off of this square edge here. That'll be my first hole. About 2.150. About 4 5/8 between the holes. All right, this is pretty crude, but I'm going to put a hole right there, put a hole right there, and then I will have to kind of trim this out to clear the underside of that caliper. Okay, it's coming along. That hole's a mistake because I forgot I needed to add some extra material down below. So anyway, I've already trimmed it twice to make sure I've got clearance in here. My hole spacing needs to be just a 1/16 of an inch wider. So I'll just file out my cardboard a little bit. So now I'm going to hold this template up against the plate that it's going to bolt to and scribe around it or mark around it as best I can. Okay, here's the top of that plate that it's going to attach to. Here's the back of it. So I'll do a little more trimming. I can cut this off here now. And then I think I'm going to be ready to take this apart and see how I can get this mounted on there. Okay, here's the plate that I'm going to be bolting to. This is my template. I've got a line back here, 2 lines across here. So this is going to go just about like that right there. And then I think I can put 2 holes. I can rotate this around where I can drill and tap a hole there and one there and come in with bolts from the back side. And that should hold that plate right there. Hopefully that works. I've got some marks right there where I want to put this. Just center punch that. Okay, now I'll drill and tap 2 holes in there. Now I'm ready to make my little plates that are going to go back here. And here's what it looks like after I got it kind of cleaned up a little bit. I made a mark across the bottom here that's supposed to align with the top here. So what I'm going to do now is get it right at the front edge here, right on that line, and I'm going to clamp it. Okay, that just goes right through the hole nice. On the end, you see there's a little center punch, so I can run that right in there. Okay, I've got these holes drilled. I drilled one hole here, put a bolt in there, and I've got this up there. I marked where the approximate area where the hole should be, and I've got this aligned with it. I put a little clamp on here. Now I can use a transfer punch and get that hole right on the money. I've got the bracket temporarily bolted in place. Now I'm going to put the rotor back on here, mount the caliper here, make sure everything is the way it's supposed to be. I've got proper clearances and everything rotates properly. If it's all good, then I'll pull this back apart so I can put some paint on here, and I'll go over to the other side and try to duplicate what I've done here. I've got it bolted in place. Now these bolts are a little longer than they need to be, so I'll put shorter ones in there, but for now, just to test it, this is good and solid. When I actuate the lever, it applies the brake pads. So I think this is gonna work just fine. Got it all painted up. I ended up just welding a little 1/8 inch thick flat plate across here. I was gonna have to use some 1/8 inch thick washers as spacers because the mounting plate needs to go about 1/8 of an inch behind this. So I thought this might be a little better, a little stronger. So now I'm ready to bolt that on there. Now I'll see about getting this cable in there. I think I might be able to almost use it as is. I think I'm going to get lucky on this cable. I've got it rerouted coming up under here. It looks like this diameter here is just right to go in there. And then this clevis I can intersect with this arm here. I just need to grind a little bit off of one side of it to clear the back side here. So let me grind that off and we'll see if that'll fit in there okay. Well, I think that's going to work pretty good. See what it looks like there. This clevis pin is a little too short, so I'll need to get a longer one to stick through there. And I can put a cotter pin in it. But I think that maybe it's going to work. I need to go get the other side hooked up, and then I can pull the brake inside and see what I got out here. Okay, I've got the other side hooked up, so I'm going to climb up in there and pull that emergency brake. Felt pretty good, but it didn't pull it far enough, did it? Okay, I see the problem. All right, what was happening is this little spring was getting completely collapsed and it wouldn't let it pull any farther. So I think I don't need this because this one here, this lever here has got lots of spring pressure to pull it back. So I think I can just cut that spring out of there and reinstall it. And then maybe I need to adjust the cable up by the handle a little bit. And I think I can get there. I think what the issue really is it takes a lot of movement on this arm to actuate the brakes, and I don't have that much movement in my cable system here, so I'm going to have this pretty far down, you know, not so far down that it's dragging, but far enough down to where I've got you know, movement in my cable. So I've got the handle in the down position now, and this is about 7/8 of an inch right there of cable exposed after I got the spring off of it. 7/8 of an inch. And the other side is also 7/8 of an inch, because if I pull on this, why, it shortens up on the other side, on the right side. So I've got them equalized now at 7/8 of an inch. I'm going to pull the handle up to where seems like it would be a reasonable place for it to get tight, and see how much that gets pulled in. And that's not much. Let me go see if the other side's the same. Okay, the other side pulled more than this side, so I pulled it out to about 1/2 inch. That's a little over 1/2 inch. Let me pull it a little more. Okay, I've got 9/16 on the other side. That's about 9/16. So that's a good position. That's maybe 2/3 of the way up on the handle inside. So I want it to be in the full locked position right there. So if I bring this down, I need at least 1/4 inch. This needs to be down here about 1/4 inch to 5/16. So what I think I can do, I don't know if you can see right in here too good, but I've got a lot of length on this business here, so maybe I can just put a little collar on there, about 5/16 thick collar around there, and it'll keep this from going up so far. So I think that's what I'm going to try. Okay, here's what I've got. Just a little 1/4 inch spacer. I'll just slide this right over there, and that'll slide right up in there. And then I can hook this up here. There we go. Now I'll go do the other side. So I'm going to pull this down a little bit because it's pulling out the cable on the other side. Let me go get the other side in. Okay, I locked it up. Let me release it. I think we're good. And the only thing I got to do now is jack this up and put a wheel on there. Make sure I've got clearance on there. I think I do, because it's not really sticking out any higher than this one is. And one other thing that I don't think I pointed out before is when that caliper is mounted over the rotor, it needs to be kind of centered from side to side. So this caliper has a little bit of room to, you know, move side to side as the pads wear. You don't want to be all the way up against one side or the other. And I've got plenty of clearance around the wheel. I've actually got more than I thought I was going to have. I've got about 3/8 of an inch, and these are 15-inch wheels. So anyway, it wasn't too bad of a job. Hope this helps if you're doing the same thing.